Why do I still hear adverse comments about poetry? This and other issue concerning writing and poetry will be discussed on this segment of Oral Tradition. Welcome to Oral Tradition and another adventure in Guyanese literature. Also, let's welcome a poet who has also represented Guyana on the world stage and has been doing the rounds in Guyana and has accumulated quite a few awards. Welcome to Oral Tradition, Daniela.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Poetry. What drew you to poetry? Or did you find poetry or poetry found you?
I would say poetry found me because I always knew that I could write, and this was something that my entire family knew as well, but it wasn't something that was nurtured as a child. So when I grew older and I think reality and life itself started hitting me, stepping into adulthood, and that is when I started poetry, when circumstances started to get in the way and I wanted a way to express myself. And talking to people, it wasn't helping, and these kinds of stuff. So I turned to writing. I started writing poetry, and once I started that, I realized that in order for people to really feel my poetry and in order for it to evoke the emotions of the people that I wanted to attract, then I need to say it for myself, and that is how I started voicing my poetry, and then that led to performing poetry.
So you had something to say. Deep down inside, you had something to say.
Yes, of course. I think so. What had happened is that I was listening to this song that my friend had introduced me to, and I related so much to the song at that point in my life. I resonated so much with it, but there were certain things that were missing. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to fill in the missing pieces, and I did that in the form of poetry, and that was the very first poem that I wrote. It spoke about me being in a bad place and not recognizing my worth as a young woman, and really just self-sabotaging myself, and also trying so hard to get out of the dark place that I was in and being hurt overall, but trying to get out of it, basically. Yeah.
So you dabble in various themes.
Definitely, yeah.
Dark themes. It's Halloween.
Yes, yes. I write on literally everything. I write from all the different aspects, different themes, different topics, everything I write about. So yeah, from love, nature, mental health, social issues, everything. I've written pieces on all these things before. So yeah.
Let's tie up mental health with Halloween.
The second piece I performed in public, but it's a bit lengthy.
No, we'll do piece first.
Okay, so
You can do a piece and tell us what it's all about.
okay.
Something like that.
So it goes like this. Let me see if I remember the piece. Okay, so a diamond in the rough, a drop in the ocean, between a rock and a hard place, between the devil and the deep blue sea, a fate worse than death I see. It is written, and it is written, a smooth sea has never made a skilled sailor, and an easy fight has never made a strong warrior. It was never said that the weapons won't be formed against us. It only said that they won't prosper, and we will always conquer. That's the first piece of the poem, and that basically talks about one, being in a dark place. A diamond in the rough is, being this gem and being surrounded by everything around you. It's like just being in a bad place and trying to, stay calm, basically. And then it goes on to say that a smooth sea has never made a skilled sailor, and an easy fight has never made a
Yeah.
strong warrior. Meaning that these are things that we all have to go through so that it can make us strong, and it can make us, it can prepare us for whatever challenges may come next. And then it went on to say that it is written that it is never said that the weapons won't be formed against us. It only said that they won't prosper, meaning that
Yeah.
we were never promised that we won't have challenges and we won't have setbacks in life. But it's up to us to get out of that and for us to conquer, basically.
Right. It is written. Influences. Let's talk about influences on your work, your writing, your performances. It is written, it sounds like the Bible. That part comes from the Bible. What other influences apart from the Bible that inform your writing and your poetry?
Definitely nature. Nature plays such a significant role in my writing. It doesn't matter what I'm writing about, I always find a way to incorporate nature into my pieces. There's always a way that incorporates it, because I think that nature speaks to us and really teaches us about life more than we know. If we can really just pay attention, we can really learn lessons through nature, like how a flower grows, how it blossoms, how it dies, how it can, revive itself, how it withers. These are all things that we can learn if only we pay attention. So nature plays a significant role in my performances, the experiences that I go through in life, the people around me that influence me and play a role in my life and my growth. So yeah.
Obviously, you need to perform a piece of that nature so that we can get a feel how you interpret nature. I mean, the artist, the songwriter, the dramatist, the poet, even the sculptors will interpret nature differently. How have you interpret nature? Let's have a piece of that.
Okay, so I'm going to use my phone for this one because this is relatively new that I wrote. It was inspired by my trip that I did in Region 9 recently. And the nature there and the aura just really inspired this piece. And I'm going to say just
So
a
you were
piece of it.
you're discovering the interior.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And it's because I'm a nature person and because nature inspired most of my pieces, going there and seeing everything, it's like everything just comes to me and I just want to write and write and write. So yeah, the piece, I'm going to start it from like the second paragraph. I am a native girl with my roots running deep in the Wapichan tribe of the South Rupununi. My land is the paradise you chase, not much like the city life with tall buildings and bright city lights, but with mountain tops pecking the clouds and embracing the warmth of the sun. You've heard of the hinterland, of our hills, valleys, roaring rivers, and black water creeks that are found deep within Guyana's heart. Perhaps of the cows and anteaters that wanders in our savannas and the thousands of species that hide in our jungle.
Brings to mind Uncle Basil Rodriguez, doing A Merry Indian No More. And when he talks about people encroaching on the hinterland and the loss of culture. Another piece of nature.
Pardon me?
Another piece of nature. Do you
You
have?
want another piece?
Yeah.
I do have it from the same piece,
Yeah.
speaking about nature. Our villages filled with homes and made mainly of clay bricks, mud, and ite palms. Schools are found on the hills, and Catholic churches lace our villages. There are no taxis and buses, but bullocks, boats, and bikes to take us to our destination.
Yes.
We rise with the sun to bathe at creeks, fish in rivers. We hunt in jungles and farm for hours in order to merely survive. But our lifestyle has taught us the simplicity of life.
Wow.
And that is another lesson that nature teaches us. How beautiful life really is if you could just pay attention to the simple things, you know? Yeah.
Still on influences like reading of other poets and things like that. Not that I would ask you if you have a favorite poet, but what other poets perhaps have influenced you?
So one of my biggest influence is a poet, a spoken word artist all the way from London. Her name is Sophia Takar, and she is one of the reasons why I started performing, and she's also one of the main influences in how I execute my performances as well. She's always so calm, and it's like you listen to her pieces and you just, this sense of calmness just takes over you, because she's not angry, she's not, hurt, she's not upset, but the way she executes it, it makes you realize certain things. And what I really hate is having to have certain effects on my audience. I don't want to go and perform a piece on domestic violence or on mental health and make my audience angry. Of course, I want them to understand, the effects and the significant and what really it is, but I don't want to let anger out of them. I want them to realize what it really is, and I want them to feel it here. So I try to be as calm as I can and execute my pieces, and she gave off that aura as well. So she's one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to writing, and I feel like I've really followed in her footsteps a lot as it comes to performing specifically, like with incorporating music into poetry and incorporating the other forms of art into poetry as well.
Obviously, you have gotten responses to your work. How was that response? How did you take to criticism?
So the responses has definitely been a lot more positive than negative, but I have received negative responses as well. But I think at first it used to bother me a lot, and I feel like that was me now coming out as a budding artist, spoken word artist at that time. So it affected me, and after a while I realized that I am not like every other poet in Guyana. I am not them, they're not me, which means that what you see in them and what you like in them,
I like that.
you may not have in me, and that's okay. I
like
have
that.
my people. My people are drawn towards me for what I put out, and maybe this is not your thing, and that's okay. I cannot be upset at you for
Right.
that. But, if you come to me in a respectable manner and you say, listen, I think this is what you need to improve on, I take it, because that is a way for me to grow as an artist.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so, and now it's
beautiful.
like, I listen to them, I see if it makes sense. If it doesn't and you're just hating and you just want to be negative about it, I turn a deaf ear, a blind eye to it. But if you're being genuine, I listen to you because I want to grow as well, So yeah.
I opened the program with saying, why I still hear negative things about poetry. And do you know, in almost every endeavor of our life, poetry seems to appearing. Christening, birth, funerals, parliament, every which way, a speech, people open with a piece of poetry.
Yes.
And things like that. And yet when you talk about poetry, people say, it's like if something foreign, but they use it constantly. It's like storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah. We all love story. We tell story every minute of our life, and we use poetry. Look at our proverb and things like that. Look at our folk songs and poetry. Real poetry,
Yeah.
real stuff is there.
Definitely.
So it's there. Yeah, you were saying something.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was last year for World Poetry Day, I had posted like a video talking about poetry and how it started. And at the end of it, I remember saying that there's a poem in all of us. It's in the people we love. It's in the things we see. It's in, everything that we do. There's always a poetry. You just have to look for it. And once you find it, there it is. There's literally a poem in everything that we do.